Bud Light has faced a firestorm of controversy using Dylan Mulvaney in its marketing. Donald Trump Jr. says last cycle, their employees and their PAC gave about 60% to Republicans and 40% to Democrats. That's literally almost unheard of. Well, first of all, literally almost, okay? Literally almost unheard of in corporate America when it's really easy to go woke, where they do so constantly, where there's a consequence to actually being a conservative. So 60-40 to the conservative side is kind of a big deal. Nobody at the senior level of the company had been aware of the marketing campaign, Trump Jr. said, touting their support for recent high-profile GOP candidates like J.D. Vance and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. And there's hot Dylan Mulvaney and so many hot poses. There's him with Bud Light. Trump goes on to say, Anheuser-Busch totally ished the bed. Since we're at the beginning of the podcast, we can't quite swear yet. I don't think we're demonetized yet this time on YouTube, Eric. Maybe we'll get bigger numbers today.
Okay, well, don't jinx it.
Literally, what's her name? Johnny Depp the bed. Amber Hearded the bed with this Dylan Mulvaney thing. I'm not, though, for destroying an American and iconic company for something like this, he said. I think sometimes we do have the tendency of shooting first and aiming second, not looking into the details. I think we can just stop right about there for now. We never intended to be part of this discussion that divides people, is something the CEO for Anheuser-Busch InBev said. And what's your gut reaction to this, Eric? Obviously, there's Dylan Mulvaney, transgender person doing the marketing. Second part is, how much they've given to Republicans and how much they've supported them. And third part, I guess, here is that they claim that the upper management didn't know about this. Your thoughts on those points?
Well, okay. I don't know if I'm going to answer your questions directly, but I will say
Wow.
that look, if you're not on board with a boycott, if you're not doing this quote unquote cancel culture thing, that's 100% fine. I do not care. But for him to come out and literally say stop boycotting, I think is incredibly silly. He would have been better off just saying nothing, because to me it kind of feels like he's saying the quiet part out loud. Well, they give money to Republicans, so you might as well just keep drinking their urine water or whatever it is. So he definitely slipped up. And look, Don Jr. is kind of funny, right? You follow him on Instagram and all this stuff, but there's something off about him. I don't want to make it too personal, but even watching him on the Full Sin podcast, it was like, dude, you got to shut up for a second. Like, he didn't let the guys even get a question in. I felt like he was just rambling a mile a minute. So there's something going on with him. He's like too revved up. He's he feels like kind of one of these ADHD kids or something that's been diagnosed by a weird, creepy doctor. But the point, I guess, the underlying point is that unfortunately for him, he just and they do this all the time. Maybe it's because they don't care. They all feel like they're invincible, but you're saying the quiet part out loud. They donated 60-40. Okay, so it's basically half and half, right? I mean, who cares, right? You want to push this terrible agenda on, and look, I get how terrible this is for the kids, but it doesn't matter whether you're 6 or 65. It doesn't change the fact that this transformer agenda is not real. It's not going to work. So it doesn't matter how old you are. And for him to just say, well, let's continue to let them push this agenda, then it's a win-win for them, because I've already said before that they don't care. Budweiser, Nike, whatever else that this weird little woman is, woman, man, she, shim, they, them, whatever it is, those companies do not care if they lose a couple bucks, right? Because it is far more important for them to show their allegiance to the agenda. And Don Jr. is letting them get off with a W by saying, well, they donated to Republicans in the past. Like we really care about the Republican establishment? Give me a break. The only reason that people like your father is because he wasn't part of the establishment Republicans. He came from a building in Queens as a billionaire already. And he wasn't owed favors. He was probably handing out favors. That's how he knows how the game works. But look, Don Jr. needs to slow down. He needs to take his foot off the gas for a little bit and realize that you said the quiet part out loud. You're telling everybody that we already know that they are beholden, that money is more of an issue than actually projecting a fun-loving, light beer drinking agenda, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but Don Jr. slipped on this one for sure.
Well, to touch on the part you said about, the 60-40 things, Republicans and establishment conservatives in general have this problem, I think, and who am I, right? But have this problem, I think, which is pointed out by many people where they kind of sink themselves to the level and play the game of, hardcore leftists, which is this idea that we should be thankful that we're being
All right,
considered by
bro.
the
This
cool
guy's in the
team.
chat going crazy. We see you,
What's
okay?
that?
We see you, bro. Like it's like he was being nice at first, and then he started to insult us. Like, give it a rest, bro.
What's
We
his
got it. We
name?
get it.
Come on, Zach.
Oh yeah, I'll get
I
you
don't know
another
what voice
viewer,
that
bro.
was.
Okay, we see you, bro. Are you happy now? This guy is like he's being nice at first, and then starts to insult us. So like, what's the point, bro? We get it.
You triggered
Hilarious.
Eric.
Show feet. Show feet. We'd rather have spam
That's a
bots that want.
classic. That's
Yeah.
a classic comment to show feet guy. So to be bragging about 60-40, yeah, it might be unheard of, but just because, if let's say ESPN shows your clip and you're Republican or something, this is a huge win for you. So you're basically saying that it's so huge for us to get 6 out of 10, donations because we're so desperate
It's
and
loser talk. It's loser talk.
it's loser talk. I agree. So to do that, I think that's an L in the first place. Then to be like, okay, they donate to right wing things, so we should cut them a break. No, wrong is wrong, no matter who it comes from. If like when Donald Trump does something wrong, his father, you should call it out, and people will get in trouble for that. And I have these voices in the back of my head when I say these things. Not literally, people that'll get clipped. One day in the future. Um, I just can't help but think of some conservative people that I watch saying, well, some battles you have to ignore for the greater good. It's like when two people you like start feuding and they usually agree on 99% of things, but they disagree on this one. And I can hear somebody off in the ether saying, you probably shouldn't be talking about Don Jr. this way. But I think it takes integrity to say wrong is wrong in all situations. And for Bud Light to come out and be like, hey, this guy who literally says he's a woman and he's not, and now you should buy this beer that's synonymous with like America, you should forgive them. And I'm sure he's told this to other people, like the Kid Rocks and the Dana Whites and stuff. Now Dana White has his own alcohol. I don't think that's going to be a problem for him. And Kid Rock posted that video, and country stars all across the country are taking. One guy took it out of his bar because people don't want it. One guy took it off his tour, and another guy took it off in some way. A third country music star. I agree with them. Now, while boycotts don't always last very long, if you can do it, then do it. Like it doesn't affect me really. I'm not buying Bud Light anyways. But if you were buying Bud Light and they offended you so much, then you should start buying something else. If you disagree with it that much, then you should start buying something else. I've never particularly liked Bud Light that much. I like Miller Lite more, even though
Well,
drinking light beer is like hydrating. It's not really to get drunk. And I think that you need to stand up and like finally like the time is if there was never ever a time to start boycotting things or just simply putting your money where your mouth is, the time is now. Like I think the line in the sand has properly been drawn on or at men who believe they are women shall now replace women in many other sectors.
Turn it up, Jordan.